welcome to We're Not Wizards. My name's Richard.
And my name is Ed.
And this is a quick start on the Kickstart. And what we do in a quick start on the Kickstart is sometimes people are running campaigns, and they're running campaigns just now. So rather than us do a big lead up to what's happening, we actually catch them in the middle of the campaign to find out how the campaign's going. And this is coinciding with the fact that the person that is on tonight is a Mr. Ed Jowett, who was on a little while ago, who is from Shades of Vengence. So that makes him a repeat offender. So,
oh no, I'm a repeat offender. I'm sorry. Next time I'll tell you in advance when I'm launching a Kickstarter and we can do this properly. What do you say?
It's good to have you back on. It's really good to have you back on. Are you well?
I'm great, and it's great to be back talking to you again, Richard, on We're Not Wizards. Hello to everyone who's listening.
Hello to everybody who's listening as well. The reason that we're doing this is because, as we said, there's simply still not enough podcasts out there about board games. So we like to put out these episodes where we catch up with the likes of Ed and find out what he has been up to, especially if he's in the middle of his current Kickstarter campaign. You been busy today, though?
Oh yeah, I did the Crystal Maze in London today. It was great fun. Strongly recommend it, particularly if you were ever a fan of the TV series.
So, what were you, a bit of a mystery man? Or are you a bit physical? Or are you a bit mental?
I ended up getting put in both mystery trials,
Okay.
and the first one I was quite good at, and then the second one I was totally useless at because you had to put the signs up for names of pubs, and I don't drink, so I was probably the worst possible choice. But I was also the team vice captain, and we worked really well together as a team, and we didn't win, but we did pretty well.
Do you go into the dome at the end and try and grab all the stuff? Do you?
Yeah, you do that. And the crystals, they, unlike in the TV series, they only give you 5 seconds. But we had 10 crystals, which is 50 seconds in the dome. And I'll tell you what, that 50 seconds seems to last forever. I'm not kidding. It's amazing.
Did you end up just like did you end up getting like tuckered out halfway through and say, guys, I need 5 seconds just to take a bit of a...
It wasn't quite that bad in the dome, but I'll tell you what, there were people who came out of the physical challenge and were like,
last time you were on, we were talking about your previous Kickstarter campaign. I'll get my teeth in. And this time you're back again to talk about your Kickstarter campaign. But you've had a Kickstarter campaign in the middle.
That's also true.
So what Kickstarter campaign was that about, Ed?
So, that one was an expansion for my card game, Champion of Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And it went very well. We unlocked one expansion for robots and cyborgs.
Oh, cool, okay.
And it's actually already been fulfilled. So, all the backers already have their reward.
Yeah.
Which I was very pleased with, and we managed to get that done very quickly. And if any of your listeners are based in England or are visiting England at the end of October for MCM Comic Con in London, I will actually have copies of Champion of Earth's Champion of Earth itself, also the expansion, and also the Kickstarter exclusive expansion. Ooh. I printed 50 more, I didn't get rid of them all on the Kickstarter, so I'll have a couple of leftovers. We had about 20 left last time at MCM, and they were all gone on the Friday.
So are you going to sign these?
I am willing to sign these at MCM if people want me to sign them. Absolutely.
So if you want to come along for your signed copy, then come along on that day to MCN and
27th to 29th of October.
There you go. So come along. Whereabouts in London is it, Ed?
It is in the Excel Centre in East London.
Fantastic. I don't even know what line that's on because I am not from Londonshire.
It's on the DLR.
Oh, there you go then. So it's just not just like a guy that runs Kickstarter. It could potentially be a travel guide round the streets of London if it so happens. Is that south of the river?
You know what? I'm not entirely sure.
I'd
guess at north of the river, but it's like right next to a bridge.
All right, okay.
And I'm not sure which way's north at that bridge.
It's fine.
So,
well, I'll tell you what, you can find that out and then we can always record an amendment to this episode. No, we're not
I'm glad to hear it, because I would hate to humiliate myself.
Well, you're a repeat offender, so you're allowed to come back and cause as much offending as possible. But so yeah, I think I remember you talking about running the campaign for Champion of Earth and saying that you were pretty much ready to go and you were already organised. And I think I was suitably impressed at the time. You have now got a new Kickstarter out, so we're just gonna go live. Gonna go live to Kickstarter just now. And it's you got 11 days to go.
I have 11 days to go, 93 backers, and we're just a shade under £1,700 with a £2,000 stretch goal. So £2,000 fund goal, rather.
So how's things going so far? Are you?
I'm pretty happy. So Era Balam is an idea that I had a little while ago. And as has happened a few times this year, Kickstarter launched something that basically made it irresistible to me to run the campaign as part of one of their sort of events.
Oh, right, okay.
So Era Hitman, I think I spoke last time I was on about how I'd done a really short 2-week Kickstarter with just the one reward.
Yeah.
And that was one of their events. And once again, Era Balam is one of their events. So, I don't know if you know, but we have recently passed the point which was the 40th anniversary of the launch of Voyager 1 and Voyager 2.
I did not, I must admit, Mr. Jowett, I did not know that.
Well, we did. And in order to sort of celebrate that, Kickstarter decided they were going to do a thing called Projects of Earth.
All right.
And there are some fantastic projects up there. They made a Facebook group, and a whole bunch of us have joined in, and I've seen many of the other projects, and a lot of them are brilliant. Obviously, none of them are as good as mine, of course, goes without saying.
I didn't even want to... I wasn't even going to be controversial there and even just announce that, you know, I think everybody knows.
However, you know, it's all about... The basis of Projects of Earth is projects inspired by the Voyager probes in general, space exploration, and that kind of theme. And a lot of people have done things like, you know, very sort of uplifting, sort of Earth is brilliant, humanity's great, you know, here's a new golden record soundtrack, this kind of stuff. And me being me, I've gone and I've thought, well, what would happen if a probe arrived at an alien planet, crash landed on their power supply, you know, their power plant, which blew up, caused a cataclysmic event, and meant that the aliens actually had to leave their world and decided to look for revenge against Earth.
Sounds like EastEnders.
So, the story of this game is around being human.
Yeah.
While the aliens are in fact invading your home system, which is not our home system. It's a separate one. With Balam being the main human colony that remains. Mm-hmm. And you are a pilot of a one-man fighter who will go with a squad of other pilots to explore the solar system, to engage the enemy, and to ensure that humanity endures.
Is it based around your normal kind of era system? I mean, how do you deal with if the exploration stuff, the spaceship type stuff? How are you kind of dealing with that?
So what I've done, yes, it runs on the Era D10 rule set. It's completely compatible with the other games, and in particular, I've had a lot of interest around Era the Consortium and Era Balam and how compatible they are. Mm-hmm. And obviously, now I should say, I am talking on the Era D10 rule set here, because this game is coming out not only on the Era D10 rule set, but also on Fate and on Savage Worlds. I went out and I got a gaming license for Savage Worlds.
All right.
And I'm using the open gaming license for Fate.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wanted to sort of give that a go, sort of see if that helped get more people, sort of interested in the game. I think the idea is a really interesting one, and it's all based around the concept that the pilot and the fighter together are one complete character. One without the other is nothing.
Okay.
So all of your physical stats in this game, your physical attributes, which are exactly the same as in Era of the Consortium or Era Survival or Era Hitman, strength, dexterity, and stamina, those are all statistics of your fighter, not of you. You, the pilot. And then the mental component, the intelligence, the wits, those are obviously of the pilot. So, only together do you have a complete character sheet.
Yeah.
And, if a pilot were to be hit by any of the weapons that we're talking about in this game, they'd be vaporized, most likely. There certainly wouldn't be much left. So, if you happen to be outside and the GM decides that you got shot, you're re-rolling, I'm afraid. Because the ship is going to be dead in space with no pilot.
Has anyone else done anything like this before? Because I can't say.
So I'm a little hesitant to say no.
Yeah.
But because I can't claim that I know absolutely everything about everything. But I've spoken to a few other people about this, some of whom are industry experts, and they've never heard of anything quite like it.
I like the idea. Then, does this mean that are you able to upgrade as you upgrade your ship? You're upgrading your physical kind of stats.
Yeah.
Does
you upgrade your armor, and that increases your ship's health, for example.
Does this also mean that as a pilot you can decide to be almost like a glass cannon?
Absolutely. There are 5 different sort of modules that you can add to your ship. And some of them are sort of defensive. They're almost a little bit like classes in a role-playing game. The difference being... I should say, they're almost a little bit like classes in a class-based role-playing game. The difference being that you can actually switch them at any time because they're hardware. So, you can have a weapon that... a module that just has lines of short-range weapons that if you get close enough to anything, you will pulverize them, but you have to get really, really close. Equally, if you're looking at the main image on the Kickstarter there's a giant laser cannon that you can see coming from the bottom right of the image going to the center. You can just have this giant laser cannon, which can only fire once every 2 turns, and you're very much more a glass cannon. You can have a salvage drone or a set of salvage drones, I should say, that you can launch that will actually repair your ship or help you with salvage, or even try and damage enemy ships, like trying to take them apart. Very vulnerable to enemy fire, but also can be very effective in the right situations. There are 5 in all. The other 2 are you can get a mine layer, and you can get a scout module, which renders you undetectable. I took a bit of a steer off Mass Effect for the scout module. It absorbs all of your heat and in heat sinks, and as time goes on, if you wait too long, then you start taking damage.
Right, okay. So is that some of your influences? I mean, have you looked at other type of kind of space exploration? I mean, Elite kind of springs
Elite Dangerous,
to me.
Certainly, I mean, Elite Dangerous was one, but more I focused on the sort of story-driven perspective of, things like Luke Skywalker and his X-Wing, right? Or Wash and Serenity. From Firefly.
Don't say Wash from Serenity. You'll make me cry.
I'm sorry. It sort of gets you right here, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Those pilots, they're so integral to the ship, and the ship is so integral to them when they're doing those things. And I'm more talking sort of Luke from Star Wars rather than Empire or Return of the Jedi, when he's a bit more useful as a person.
Okay. You're not judging, you're just saying.
I'm just saying that when people were shooting at him in A New Hope, he ran.
Yeah, I suppose that's right.
Right?
Actually, yeah. Yeah.
Indeed.
Oh, there's going to be this screaming and the wailing and the gnashing of teeth tonight. You know, the whole repeat offender thing. You're just living up to this, aren't you?
I'm doing my best.
Yarding,
so I looked at these themes, and actually, what someone else pointed out to me, one of the playtesters pointed out to me, that it's a little bit like almost like a Western, sort of a man and his horse.
Yeah.
It's sort of almost got that feel to it as well, and I really like that thought because it gives you the chance to sort of have the wanderer sort of background for your character, if that's what you want to play.
Yeah, the Firefly kind of springs to mind a bit, kind of going from place to place. But can you I take it this means that in terms of like a group, that you're almost kind of, you can probably run a quite easily successful kind of 8-10 player group if everybody has their own little kind of ship.
In principle, like yeah, and not only that, you can actually have unique characters because maybe one of them chooses to have a tail gun, for example, which is one of the bonuses you can pick up, and then the others don't have that, but that person can cover everyone while everyone's running away, so you can you can actually get large groups to have a nice wide range of capabilities, and then equally depending on the difficulty of the scenario. Oh, excuse me. And then equally, depending on the difficulty of the scenario that the GM sets, you can easily play with just 2 or 3 people and no problem. I've run playtests with both small groups and large groups, very successfully, to be honest.
How many scenarios do you kind of get with the kind of the Kickstarter itself then? So
with the Kickstarter itself, initially, with the rulebook itself, you get no extra scenarios. It gives you everything that you need to run a game, but it's one of our pocket range, so it's deliberately a small, sort of relatively cheap book. I'm sure that looking at the prices and getting a book for £5, you're not expecting it to be a 300-page monster.
No.
So it's a smaller book. It contains everything that you need to play. It contains details about all of the planets you can visit. But it doesn't contain a huge amount in terms of campaigns. The campaigns are being offered as stretch goals. So if we can make some stretch goals, we have some fantastic writers who've pitched in. We've got Darren Pierce, who's recently been working on the Judge Dredd RPG.
Oh, right. Okay.
He's said he'd love to work with us. And Mission Pack 1 is actually by him, even though it says it's a combat focused session by me. That's actually a copy and paste error that really needs fixing. Oops. But yeah, no. Darren's going to be writing an entire mission pack. He's laid out what's going to happen in this mission pack, and I can't tell you too much, but what I can say is that in the entire solar system, there is only one large sort of capital ship, the alien mothership. Humans had all their fleet destroyed when the aliens did the surprise attack in the first place, and now they're kind of just working with fighters. And this mission pack is going to be around stopping the aliens from building a second capital ship.
All right, okay.
So yeah, really fate of the solar system stuff.
That's pretty cool. Are you allowing it to be? Is it going to be quite serious, or have you kind of played it so it's kind of open in terms of how people are able to play it? I mean, could you effectively have Galaxy Quest kind of going on here?
I think Galaxy Quest going on here would be brilliant, and my group are really not terribly serious. I every time someone asks me this kind of question, I think back to the high fantasy game we did, where they rocked up to a giant wall of a fort, and so the guard yells down, "Hey, are you skeletons?" And someone yells back, "Yes!" So, obviously the guards sort of start firing arrows desperately, frantically, without thinking that, probably skeletons don't talk very much. And then, after the hail of arrows was over, once it was the next combat round, One of the parties sort of piped up and said, "We're sorry, we won't be skeletons anymore." So my group are not the most serious in the universe.
No.
So I always like to leave it very open. You know, you can the setting itself is relatively serious.
Yeah.
But how seriously the players take it is really down to the players and the GM and the characters themselves. Because, I mean, and Firefly is a brilliant example, actually, of an example where the stuff going on is super serious. No one's taking it seriously. You know, none of that crew are actually paying attention to the fact that, yes, they are actually in a gunfight. Yeah. They are getting shot. It's only armor that's saving their lives.
Yeah.
You know, if the shot had been, you know, I'm thinking the first episode now, if the shot on Zoe had been a foot higher, she'd be dead.
Yeah, exactly.
But, you know, no one's particularly caring.
No.
You know? No. So, yeah, I mean, to me, I always like to leave that nice and open. I know that some people like to be super serious. I like to be light-hearted.
What about accessibility? From the point of view that maybe people who are listening have said, well, look, I've tried the idea of some kind of almost like a space opera type game where it's almost like a combination of some of my favourite things, like say Firefly, and there's even hints of maybe even Battlestar Galactica in there.
There is a little, yeah. I mean, the entire concept is like an alien fleet. I actually describe it as an evil Battlestar Galactica. You know, they're looking for Earth for revenge.
In terms of accessibility, because that is something that people do pipe up about, is like I'd like to get involved in a role-playing game, but I'm finding it difficult to kind of get this kind of run. How accessible have you made it for people that are maybe starting out in role-playing games to kind of jump in and play?
So people who are starting out in role-playing games, I would like to, you know, say to you guys, I have run Era D10 with first-timers, with veterans, and with everything in between. I run it a lot at MCM Comic-Con, which I'm sure you can imagine as a comic convention rather than a role-playing convention, is not overflowing with experienced role-players. I run it with many, many people who this is their first ever role-playing game. And, you know, I've had people buy it and go away and play it after playing it just once with us at a convention where usually we don't even explain all of the rules. And it is... one of the reasons I'm so proud of the Era D10 rule set as a rule set is that it is so accessible. Now, I personally feel that the same applies to Fate. I feel that Fate is maybe a little less specific in the way it works, which can lead to confusion.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons that I don't play Fate super often, but I do play it. But if you are worried about a first-time game, I can only say that, you know, I've played this with hundreds of first-timers, and I've never really had anyone disappointed in playing, or not understanding what they were doing. I can also say that we actually do have a Facebook group where we offer advice and help to anyone who is unsure how to play the game.
Oh, there you go. So that's pretty cool. So, 11 days to go.
Yep.
Almost at the target. You sound, as usual, quietly confident, as always, Mr. Jowett. If people want to know more, obviously we're going to put the Kickstarter link in the show notes, so we have notes to show. But where can people kind of, in general, kind of find out more about yourselves and the current game?
So you can find out a lot more about Shades of Vengeance either on our website, www.shadesofvengeance.com, which I'm sure Richard will also put in the show notes.
As always, you know I will.
You can also find us on Facebook, and feel free to reach out to us. I mean, post on the page or drop us a message. I keep a really close eye on Facebook for the company, so it'll be me that you're talking to almost certainly.
That's pretty cool.
And really, those are the two best places. You can find a lot on the website. Also, I can't recommend anything more than, really looking through our Kickstarter records. This is our 17th project on this account. We've also got a comics Kickstarter account, and there's actually one running right now called Violet, which is a superhero comic about a cosplayer, superpowered cosplayer. So, that's a lovely little concept. And way more to come on the comics, I should say.
You'll have to ping us the link for that as well, so we can put that in there too.
I'll be more than happy to send that over. Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean, if you look at our campaigns in general, we've run 17 on this account. I've run 3 under helping other people get their games out there.
Yeah.
So I'm actually on something like my 24th project at the moment. And 23 of those 24 have been funded. So you say I'm quietly confident. I'm pretty confident. I've done this enough that I have a decent idea of how this is going to look.
Yeah.
I didn't know how Fate and Savage Worlds were going to go. That's a new thing. And to anyone out there who's a Fate or Savage Worlds fan, I hope that you feel that we're catering towards what you want. We've got a great guy called Dave Bluer on Savage Worlds, who's probably best known for Tormented Skies.
All right.
Which I'm told is quite famous in Savage Worlds circles. I know very little about Savage Worlds, hands in the air. I know very little about it, and Dave has come on board to make sure that we give it the proper Savage Worlds feel while keeping the era Balam feel as well.
Yeah.
And in terms of Fate, as I said a little while ago, I've run a large number of Fate sessions now, and I'm very confident that I can make something that you guys are going to like. I've also got the assistance of someone who's working on the Infinity project for Modiphius, who is also experienced in Fate. I'm not sure I can divulge his name yet, but he's literally just signed up to say that he would very happily give us a hand to make sure that the Fate stuff, a second pair of eyes, to make sure that Fate stuff, is Fate as everyone else would understand it too. So yes, I'm trying to make sure that everyone can play this game, or as many people as possible. I'm
surprised you've got time to sleep, Ed, to be perfectly honest.
Sleep is for the dead.
Sleep is for the dead. What we'll do is, this is not the last you're going to hear of Ed, because Ed is going to be coming back on the show. He's going to come back in late November, early December time.
Late October, early November.
Is it? Right, okay.
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to have another chat then, and get him on properly, and really, really catch up and find out what he's been playing. But this has just been a kind of a quick start on the Kickstart. If you have heard, and what you have heard has made you piqued your interest, or made you intrigued, or potentially made you think, oh, I'm actually going to jump on board. I like potentially flying a little starfighter around where I'm a character as well as the ship. That sounds really, really interesting to me. Check out the show notes, because we will make sure that all the important links are in there, so we have notes to show.
And if it doesn't pique your interest, drop us a message on Facebook and tell us why.
There you go. You don't get much better.
I mean, I like to cater to what people want. Yeah. I'm building the games that people are really interested in when I talk to them about them. And if you think that this doesn't suit you, but you can think of something that would, then drop us a note. You never know.
Well, you've always got your hands on a keyboard ready to type. Let's face it.
Oh yes, I do.
So as I say, we'll put the links in the notes so everybody can check out. Yeah, jump on Kickstarter, check out Ed's campaign. There'll be links there for you to have a look at. And we'll be speaking to Ed again in the next couple of months for a proper sit down and a proper chat. But now, until the next time, it's time for us to say goodbye. So it's a goodbye from Ed.
Goodbye. Thank you for listening.
And it's a goodbye from me. Remember, stay safe, roll sixes. And as I say,
or tens if you're playing Yerbala.
You can say tens as well, Ed. That's perfectly acceptable. And as I say, if you fancy doing a little bit of Luke Skywalker, Firefly, or Battlestar Galactica action, then certainly check out what's in Mr. Jowett's cupboard, because I heard it's very starfightery and very, very tasty indeed. But until the next time, goodbye.